So, Tony, you are originally born in Savannah, Georgia, grew up on Tybee Island, Georgia. Tell us what it was
Yes.
like growing up for you.
Oh man. Well, first and foremost, back in the day when I grew up down there, it was Savannah Beach, and they only in later years changed the name to Tybee Island. Uh, but it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. We moved back to Savannah and moved down to Tybee when I was going into the 11th grade, and I, up until that move, all I ever wanted to do was I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to be a baseball player. Well, the first time I stood up in high school and tried to hit a curveball, that pretty much ended that career. And
For
so
us
we,
all, not just for you, Tony,
yes,
for us
yes,
all.
yes, yeah. So I moved to Tybee, and my brother handed me, and rather than a Louisville Slugger, he handed me another piece of wood. He gave me his old guitar,
Well, thank you for
and
that.
so that summer, I had no friends. We had just moved there. Moving in high school is a tough thing. And so I just remember being left with all my siblings' albums. My sisters and my brother were all moved out and gone by then. And so I had their album collection and a stereo in my bedroom, a little hi-fi, and my brother's old guitar, and began to teach myself how to play the guitar as best as I could. And but what it really did was I had, because I had no other diversion, I sat and read lyrics as the albums played. I would just sit there and read the lyrics included, and so that was there was an epiphany there at one point, because you hear these great songs by great artists, and then you make the connection. Well, wait a minute, you know, James Taylor singing the song, but this gal Carole King wrote it, or Aretha Franklin singing "Respect," but a guy, 100 miles west of you, over in Dawson, Georgia, Otis Redding wrote it. So you make the connection that, well, apparently, if you want to write a song, you can. And so I began to try to write songs.
So you were
And
already interested in the person behind the curtain before you
oh,
even.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's we
And
have
that's,
that in common then for sure. Because that is definitely I'm definitely in that vein as well. I'm always interested in the people that made the song rather than who performed it.
sure.
You know.
And I was so well aware. My heroes have always been lyricists. That have always been. I've got my Mount Rushmore of lyricists, and one of them, obviously, Jimmy Webb was the self-contained songwriter.
Yeah.
He not only wrote the song, he sang the song, or he wrote the music as well. So it was very important to kind of be completely ignorant of the entire process and just kind of make it up as you go along. I had no idea what co-writing was, other than my folks were much older when they had me, and they were from a completely different generation. They were from the Depression era and World War II, and so they had all these, classic, these standard albums, and a lot of Johnny Mercer, and then you notice that he all he did was write, well, not all he did, but he wrote the lyric, and would turn to people like Henry Mancini to write the music. That's what I thought co-writing was, where one person brought one thing and one person brought the other. And true to form, all my big heroes are from that school. Um, you know, the guy that signed me up to ASCAP was Hal David. And of course, Hal
Wow.
David and Burt Bacharach wrote everything,
Yeah.
and Hal was just a brilliant lyricist, and Bacharach was one of the most genius piano players ever. So it was just a kind of a putting yourself through school. And then when I moved to Nashville, well, there's skipping over a lot of years, but I managed to graduate from high school, went to college, and of course I didn't do anything but play in bands the whole time or there, or in
You
duos,
went to
or
college for journalism, right?
that's a bit of a stretch. What it was is my father, about year three, said, "All right, hot shot, what you got the most hours in?" And I said, well,
Right.
English and journalism. And he said, well, you're a journalist. Now get out. You know, it's like you've wasted enough of the old man's money. So I wound up with a degree in journalism, but I never, ever learned a single thing, I have to say, in college about journalism. When we moved to Nashville, and I couldn't get anything going songwriting wise, I went in and lied like a rug and got a job working for a magazine. And when I did that, you don't ever learn anything until you actually do the applied science and, you know, actually get involved in the actual work of it.
Well,
So
let's back up just a bit. When did you know that you wanted to be a songwriter? Like, how young were you, do you think?
I think the first time I played a song for someone and it was my song and I got all the way through it, and it was just I never thought about it in terms of I'm going to make my living doing this. It was just the one thing that I truly enjoyed doing, and it brought me a peace and a satisfaction that nothing else did. I think a lot of people move here and they want to be an artist. A lot of people move here, they're really great musicians. I'm neither. The only thing I could bring to the table was writing a song, and true enough, songwriters get to lead a very anonymous and normal life.
Unfortunately,
They don't.
in my opinion. You say normal. Normal is good, but anonymous, not so much. I feel like you guys deserve a lot more credit than y'all get, for sure.
Well, I'm gonna tell you a quick story about you mentioned Here I Am. Uh, Sometimes that anonymity pays off. I was standing in a 7-Eleven and waiting to pay for something, and there were two women in front of me, and my song Here I Am came on the radio, playing in the store. Well, these two gals just got really agitated, and they did not like the fact that in this song, Patty, who they were fans of apparently, they didn't appreciate the fact that she took the scoundrel back after he broke her heart. So they were really mad about that, and I'm just standing there, and I got the church giggles. I was just, because nobody knew the guy that wrote what just made them mad was standing behind them. So sometimes,
can I tell you a story as well, Tony?
what?
Can I tell you a story?
You bet.
Okay, so I have a friend. Her name is Heather Little. She's a phenomenal songwriter, if you haven't heard of her. But she wrote Gunpowder and Lead for Miranda Lambert and a bunch of other songs. Me and Charlie Talking for Miranda. And but anyway, when I met her, she was a custodian at a high school here in East Texas. And so she told us a story when she came on the show that she was in the girls' bathroom cleaning the toilets, and she's cleaning the toilets. A girl comes in to do her makeup, and her ringtone on the phone was Gunpowder and Lead. And the songwriter is literally behind her cleaning the toilets, Tony.
Yes, it's a glamorous life, Chris. It is. Yes, it is. Well, that's all right. She could take pride in the fact that, I did that song. That's the best.
Yeah, and